Okay, so we were just waiting 2 additional minutes to make sure that everyone has joined. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ici Matar Ndoye in Senegal.
Good afternoon.
Bonjour. Okay, so I will start the meeting and we will just wait until other participants join. So I'm here with the FMDV team that is available to assist you in case you have any problem with your connection. I see some messages in the chat saying that it's difficult to hear. So if you have any problem to connect, please do not hesitate to share information in the drive and we will do our best to assist you. So first of all, I wanted to thank you all for joining the meeting today. For those of you I do not know yet, I am Melissa Kerim. I am project manager at FMDV, a global fund for cities development, working on some initiative, including the Alliance of African Subnational Development Banks that we are gathering today for this meeting. And this initiative, as you all know now, has been launched as part of the Finance in Common movement, the movement of more than 500 public development banks aiming to strengthen their partnership and reinforce their commitments in support of common actions for climate change and sustainable development. The translation is available, so you should be able to hear the translation in French for the francophone participants. You just need to click on the link. Vous devrez pouvoir, pour les francophones, l'interprétation est disponible.
Okay, for the francophones, you need, and for the anglophones, you need to click down on interpretation and you can click on French or English, depending on what you need. The instructions can be sent through the chat if you have any questions. I will start with English and we'll move on to French for the second part of the debate because we have international partners who will be participating also.
First of all, I would like to apologize on behalf of our executive, Carlos de Freitas. He has an urgent meeting with a ministerial meeting with the Brazil now to prepare for COP28, and he will join us at a later stage during this call. I also wanted to share some background elements on the Alliance before giving the floor to the champions of the Alliance, including FECOM and AFD for a quick introductory word. So for the Alliance of African SDBs, as you may all know now, has been launched in Abidjan in October 2022 during the third edition of the Finance in Common Summit. It aims to strengthen the role of financial intermediaries and public development banks with the mandate to finance urban infrastructure and cities and regions for a just urban transition in Africa. And it's co-led so FMDV is leading the secretariat, and it's supported by the French Development Agency and FECOM, the Special Council, the Fund for Mutual Assistance of Cameroon, and we will give them the floor in a second. And the main objectives of the Alliance are to align the strategies, standards, and investments and portfolios of subnational development banks with global agendas, to support the diversification of financing sources available to SDBs, and to promote SDBs action in the international fora. So we've done a lot of activities that will be shared also in the that will be shared in the chat during this discussion. You will also receive the action plan that provides further information on the activities led by the Alliance. So for those who were in August, at the end of August, we had a meeting already to prepare for the Finance in Common Summit that took place in Cartagena in the first week of September, and also to prepare for the Africa Climate Summit. And we met some of you there, including FECOM. And it was a successful meeting because we heard about your priorities in terms of subnational lending, in terms of access to climate finance. And we've also compiled all your inputs in a report that has been sent to you in the newsletter last week. And we will also be able to share it in the drive in the course of this meeting. And but I just wanted to share some key outcomes of what happened in Cartagena from the perspective of subnational development banks. FMDV wanted to organize a dialogue, a regional dialogue, an intercontinental dialogue, as we called it. But unfortunately, a limited number of African SDBs were able to attend the summit in person in Cartagena in Colombia, due, of course, to the fact that it was held in Latin America and the distance. But DBSA, I don't know if they are in the room today, I'm checking. But DBSA was present in Cartagena. I was able to attend some of our events, and including the side event number 10. I don't know if my colleagues from the Alliance of Latin American SDBs can share the report, because there was a beginning of a dialogue between African subnational development banks and Latin American subnational development banks. And of course, they were the Latin American banks were strongly mobilized during this summit. And they've discussed all together with some multilateral development banks the opportunity to create a technical assistance trust fund to support subnational development banks in building project pipelines for local infrastructure. Another option that was discussed was to launch a joint call for proposals on specific themes. This call for proposal will be launched by multilateral development banks, and SDBs would be allowed to apply to receive some technical support from multilateral development banks. And the third option that was discussed was the launch of a thematic fund to further integrate adaptation in SDBs priorities. So further discussions are ongoing in Latin America, but it's a good source of inspiration to have some concrete outcomes out of the discussions we are leading as part of the Alliance and the coalition also on resilient cities and regions that I will present in a couple of minutes. So going back to today's meeting, if you go to the next slide, we are gathered today to prepare for COP28. So after the main events that took place in September in Cartagena and in Kenya, we are now all heading towards COP28 that will take place in Dubai in a month's time now. So we have a month to prepare altogether our activities there. So today we will share our respective plans there and explore opportunities to contribute to official sessions, side events, or even bilateral meetings organized in the March COP28. We will also discuss the role of SDBs in the participation in COP28 Local Climate Action Summit that will take place on the 1st and 2nd of December and will convene hundreds of mayors and governors under the auspices of Bloomberg and the COP28 presidency. And third point, we will also collect inputs and comments from you on one of the mapping that we are currently finalizing towards COP, a mapping of funds, tools, and mechanisms provided by multilateral development banks to fund and finance resilience, urban development, and transition. But to start with, I would like to give the floor to FECOM, which is a Cameroonian SDB, the champion of the alliance for a number of years now. We have been working with them closely to raise the voice of subnational development banks on the international fora. And we have the pleasure today to host Séverin Zobo-Belinga, the Deputy Director for Cooperation and Partnership at FECOM, who will share some introductory words. Monsieur Séverin Belinga, vous avez la parole. J'espère que votre connexion est suffisante.
Mr. Séverin, you have the floor. I hope that you have a good connection. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes, we can perfectly hear you. Thank you very much. I wanted to welcome everyone to this event. I represent the FECOM here, and I am representing the director who cannot be here, and also he. In his name, I want to thank you very much for asking FECOM to really think about the different challenges that we have in terms of local financing of the development. FECOM basically is the Cameroon public bank that is specialized in decentralized local development projects. And also, we started thinking with our partners about exchanging experience and synergies in the financing of the local development since 2014. So we created the networks of African institutions for local financing and who are working with the World Fund in order to help the development of the cities, and that have contributed also to the development at a local level. So these finance institutions were recognized at a global level as local partners for the financing of the local authorities and municipalities also, and their role was recognized also at an international level. So we have worked with FMDV and many other institutions also that allowed us to organize many capacity building workshops. That's why we thought with many stakeholders, among which FMDV, on exchanging information between the different territorial banks. And this allows us, first and foremost, to contribute also on how we can improve our role at an international level for the climate agenda, and what would be the role of these different institutions in the localization of the actions, and also in order to exchange also information about our contribution at all levels in order to organize the financing and the work that we carry out. All the institutions with the help of FECOM, are organizing this exchange of information between the different institutions because we are intermediary institutions and we are working with the local authorities and also the national and global authorities also in order to transfer the resources also. So we need to be present in all the different conferences throughout the world. And we were, for example, in Madrid and then went to Glasgow, where we tried to explain to the international community the role that these local finance institutions can play. Also, that can be a key role also. The members of the alliance, we will participate in the next COP28 in the United Arab Emirates in order to explain what was the role that we carried out, the local action, for example, programs that we launched, that we're launching in December, and also the call for action that will be launched on the 6th of December also with all the other members of the alliance. And we are working in order to really move on in our advocacy actions. And also I want to say that the subnational finance institutions are extremely important in terms of knowledge transfer also, and in terms of capacity building for the local authorities, because we have the know-how and because we are much closer to the territory. We lost the communication. I So we lost the communication. So we can help them also in the implementation of the projects and on the financing. So we're going to continue with our advocacy in order to give more voice to the local actors and stakeholders. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Belinga from FECOM. It was to remind everyone the commitment of the different territorial and subnational finance institutions and development banks also. You talked about your presence in the next COP. We had many exchanges with many stakeholders who confirmed their presence. The two banks that we have in Senegal confirmed their presence. In Niger, also there is a bank that confirmed its presence. There are two others also. They will confirm their participation in the COP. And I am going to give the floor now to the French Development Agency, also that will give us some information about the actions that they're carrying out. I want to remind you the conclusions of the SDB meeting that we had. So I don't know if you have any announcements to make about your activities in Africa that could be of interest to the members of the Alliance. Good morning to all of you. I'm extremely happy to see so many people participating in this meeting. So what is the role of the French Development Agency? So we have the COP that is going to be extremely important, of course. We want to give a voice to the local climatic action. So there's the Global Covenant of Mayors also, who is organizing this meeting. You're all more than welcome, but we want to remind the leadership of the local authorities and territories also, and local development banks for sustainable development in Cartagena. We talked about many things, but we couldn't cover absolutely every single element. So all the banks that are interested here, we have launched a guarantee tool to access the European Union funds. So these guarantees are partial guarantees that we can offer to public or private banks that finance the cities. We call them intermediary cities, but not only intermediary cities, also maybe bigger ones or smaller ones, and projects also that have a very important climatic impact in terms of mitigation or adaptation. And for 2 months, we have recruited the coordinator of this a new guarantee tool that we have created and that is starting to work with many banks, and all the banks that are interested in financing cities can use it. So our main goal is to work with all the local banks that work on the African continent, and we don't want to change completely the situation, but just to work on a few projects in order to demonstrate that the cities can improve their access to banking services and financing in order to fund projects that are leading to fight the climate change and that are directed towards sustainable development. And also, we are, of course, at your disposal in order to explain everything about this tool that we have put in place. And also, moreover, I believe that COP28 is going to be a pivotal moment here. And so we will launch this action in December about the climate regional actions, and this will be a very important platform. In the other COP meetings, there was only one day that was dedicated to the cities, but here, for example, we're going to have 2 days and see a 40 and the global covenant of mayors. Here we're talking about 1,600 cities, so we have a lot of stakeholders who are interested here. So what is interesting for us is that this will allow you, if you participate, this will allow you to show us that the adaptation of cities to climate change is not only a global southern problem, but it's also a problem that interests the northern cities. So here we can find the grounds of cooperation between northern and southern cities. So I believe that we have a lot of interest for you, and I hope that you will be able to participate in this COP28. And also we're going to have a very highly institutional representation from the national directorate, and also we're going to have the executive director also participating, and we will be connected through a video conference also with all the different communication tools that will allow us to be here and everywhere else at the same time. Thank you so much. I will be extremely excited by hearing all the exchanges that we're going to have during this meeting. So thank you very much for inviting me over. Thank you, Frédéric Godras. Yes, you talked about the local action summit, GCOM and C40 are organizing it. So we are meeting them every month, every Thursday, actually. And also we are liaising with the COP presidency in order to coordinate the different initiatives. They know very well the work of the Alliance. So during the Africa Climate Summit, they were present and we exchanged information. There was a panel actually that was dedicated to this meeting. To this issue. I will go back to English now. If you want to share the slide in order to talk about the national action plan that we will have and all the information okay about this, so you can take the floor if you want to talk about what are your ambitions, etc.
So switching back to English. So this slide just presents the program of COP starting on the 30th of November. So in 1 month, starting from today. So the program will last for about 2 weeks. And we've highlighted on the slide the 3 main events that are, according to us, important for the work of the Alliance, but also for the work of all stakeholders working at the subnational level. So the first one is the World Climate Action Summit. We've just talked about it on the 1st and 2nd of December, led by Bloomberg and GCOM. I will provide further details in a second. On the 4th of December, there will be the Finance, Trade, Gender Equality and Accountability Day. And finance is, of course, falls under the scope of our work. And there are some activities and side events that will be organized throughout the day on subnational finance. We are currently mapping some of them, but the full list has not been shared yet. But we will share in the newsletter closer to COP the full list of events that might be of interest to you to attend as speakers, but also just to attend also as participants and hear and get some updates on what's happening on the subnational finance space. And then on the 6th of December, there is the Multi-Level Action, Urbanization and Built Environment and Transport Day. And during this day, we have a couple of events already secured that I will also introduce in greater detail just now. If you go to the next slide, I just wanted to highlight here that this year there is a strong focus on local climate action and subnational financing, in particular thanks to COP28 presidency's support for the launch of a new flagship event involving both national and subnational governments on the key topic of subnational financing. So we'll introduce this CHAMP initiative. And as Frédéric Audras said, more than 1,000 local leaders have been invited by Bloomberg and are supposed to join this important COP28 for local action. If you go to the next slide. So this local action summit will last over 2 days, and there will be, of course, gatherings between mayors and governors. But the COP presidency and GCOM are also willing to invite some representatives of public development banks of all levels to these discussions and events. We don't have the detailed agenda yet. A preliminary version has been circulated, but we've tried to extract some of the main component of this event on this slide. But what is sure is that there will be spaces for dialogues, in any case, either during the sessions or in the margins of the sessions. And subnational development banks are, it would be key to have a number of SDBs to also explore the possibility to have a side event on SDBs connecting the different levels of governance and the work we are doing as part of the Alliance. If you go to the next slide. So the second event is, as I said, on the Finance Day on December the 4th. And there will a number of finance representatives, of stakeholders working in the finance space have been invited, not only public development banks, but also the private sector. And there are a number of sessions focusing on blended finance, and we, in collaboration with the private sector, I know it has been highlighted as a key topic of interest for the Alliance of SDBs. So we will share with you, as I said, the detailed list of sessions. and explore how we can also suggest some of you, once we know who is going to attend COP, if we can suggest your names or the names of your colleagues to be involved in some of these panels. If you go to the next slide, and that's the most important day, and that's why we encourage you to attend the first week of COP28, because on the 6th of December, this day is dedicated to the subnational level of action, and we have secured 3 important events that will take place on the 6th. The first is the second urban ministerial meeting, which will be a key space to discuss COP28 multi-level action. So for those of you who attended the Africa Climate Summit or the Latin America Climate Week or the MENA Climate Week, you might have been involved in the twinning session, which was a session dedicated to the subnational level of action and multi-level governance, which involved cities and local governments, national governments, but also public development banks and other funders to discuss how to unlock finance. So the key theme of these multilateral and multi-level dialogues in the regions were on unlocking finance. And we heard that this urban ministerial meeting will also focus on this theme, which is of course completely aligned with the work we have been doing in the alliance, as part of the alliance. Then we have also secured 2 side events called implementation labs, because they are really directed towards implementation and action. One on accelerating and catalyzing access to subnational climate finance, and another on quantifying resilience benefits to unlock private investment into adaptation solutions. So if you are interested in these themes and willing to also join this discussion, please send us an email and we will share with you the draft agenda. And of course, the panel is still under construction, even the content of the discussions. And then a third event that we've secured is the organization in the Ocean Pavilion of a session on cities, so on coastal cities and on how to finance coastal adaptation plans. So it's more related to SDBs with, with many cities located in, close to by the sea and threatened by coastal erosion. We've been building partnerships with a number of organizations in this space towards the Polar Summit that will take place in Paris on the 8th and 9th of November, where this discussion on ocean, blue economy, and cities will be held also in Paris. We have a side event planned here in Paris, and the Nice and the conference in 2025, the conference on ocean that will take place in Nice. I see a question. Yes, of course, we will share the presentation after the session with all the participants. Yeah, if you have any questions on this events, I'm happy to provide further details via email. Do not hesitate to contact us. Now I will go into further details. I will just explore some of these initiatives more clearly. I will provide further detail if you go to the next slide. Thank you. I just wanted to introduce you to CHEMP. So this is the initiative that will be launched on the 1st and 2nd of December, and that is held by, and that is led, sorry, by GCOM and C40 with the support of the COP presidency, and it's called the Coalition for High Ambition Multi-Level Partnerships, CHEMP. And we've been involved, the FMDV has been involved in this discussion because we have also, as you know, an alliance with the ministries of urban development across Africa, and they will be strongly also involved in this CHEMP initiative. So what is the objective? Is to enhance cooperation with subnational governments and national governments in the planning, financing, and implementation of climate strategies. So it's as always, at each COP, there is a pledge or a strong commitment of national governments to further include and involve subnational governments and subnational stakeholders in the planning and implementation of the goals to reach the objectives of the Paris Agreement, and also that the ambition needs to increase over time. So the increased level of ambition will not be reached without the involvement of subnational governments. So if you can see on the slide the content of the CHAMP pledge that has been circulated to your ministries. So if you go to the next slide, it gives some guidance basically on to national leaders on how to include, take stock, and measure the action of subnational stakeholders, and how to integrate these results into national plans. So again, you will have time to read this when we share the slides. But if you go to the next slide. Yes, I just also wanted to highlight that to support the implementation of this multi-level action, the COP presidency proposes to launch the National Accelerator for Local Finance, which aims to better connect local climate projects with global financial flows. And it's the national accelerators will help different stakeholders to prepare project pipelines of local projects that are ready to invest projects. Sorry, and yeah, and we would, so as part of this national accelerator program, the COP presidency and partners, Bloomberg, but ourselves as well, all together, we aim to work with national local governance associations and SDBs and ministries. So it's good to see that now there is an understanding that we need to work with all stakeholders across the financing value chain in order to unlock additional sources of finance at the local level. So this is also a mark of success of the advocacy work done as part of the Alliance and of the Coalition of Resilient Cities and Regions, but also the broader work that we have all been doing in the urban space for a number of years. If you go to the next slide. This is the ministerial meeting that will take place on the 6th of December. Why is it important? Because the ministries of environment and urban will come together and will discuss ways to unlock finance for the local level of action. But as I said, the COP presidency is currently thinking about how to involve international financing institutions as well as local institutions in these debates, even though it will be a ministerial meeting for ministers and really for national governments. There will be additional observers as well as local governments and financing institutions invited to the table. We don't have yet the final version. We just have the draft version of this ministerial meeting. But for those of you who attend COP, we will also keep you posted on this meeting. If you go to the next slide. Yes, and here, this is the initiative launched by FMDV. I'm not sure if Carlos de Freitas has joined. If Carlos, if you want to introduce in greater detail the UFI initiative and how it connects with CHAMP, with the ministerial meeting, and explain that, we will share further interaction after the further information after the meeting. I will give you the floor now if you are connected.
I am.
Yeah, okay, great.
So basically the UFI initiative is an initiative that we designed together with the Alliance of African Ministers for Urban Development Financing. It was a demand to design something new and more a connector than a new fund for urban development for Africa. The idea is to have a collaborative platform and expert hub, sorry, of financial engineering in urban development and transition financing. It is a way to have basically human resources dedicated to support and strengthen the capacities of ministries of urban development, but also local and regional governments, associations at the national level, or the governments themselves directly, and the national and subnational development banks in a domestic setting to better articulate themselves and create this financial architecture we need to accelerate access to finance for the subnational levels of action, plus to fund and finance the needs and seize the opportunities in the countries for urban development. And so the idea is to have these human resources collected as a hub at the regional level first for Africa, and we are discussing with certain countries to host UFI team at the national level, but it will be in a second phase because it demands some time. And the idea is to have first this UFI initiative for the regional initiative linked with the Alliance of African Ministers, the AMUF Alliance. Then to support then the origination of projects that are already in the pipes at the ministerial level or at the local and regional level, and to have this process of building the financial engineering and the contacts and the overview of all programs, all players, the whole ecosystem of players that are providing support and finance for local and regional governments action, and for the ministries, obviously, also, because we need to strengthen also the ministries if we want to strengthen this financial architecture for subnational financing. So the FinHub, UFI's FinHub, is basically to build a one-stop shop at the regional level, and then to break down the initiative at the domestic level with all the adaptation to the context. It might be a thematic or a sectorial context, so it might be very much focused, or really a coordination system to make sure that between the ministries of finance, environment, climate, and urban development, there is a strong dialogue together with the national institutions for financing, especially the national development banks and the subnational development banks. And so we are having this conversation with the Alliance and with the Ministry of Cities in Brazil. So we hope, if we have time, it's a bit constrained in terms of agenda, but we hope that we will be launching the UFI initiative with the Alliance, that's for sure, at COP, and maybe with the leadership of Brazil in Latin America, and especially considering the organization of COP30 in Brazil, in Belém. And there is a strong will coming from the Ministry of Cities of Brazil to have a strong momentum again on cities at COP30. So we're working with them, and we, because we have the Alliance of Subnational Development Banks in Latin America and the Caribbean, as active as the African one, the hope we have is that we can connect the dots and have this intercontinental dialogue between the ministries, the subnational and the national development banks, working on giving some examples of what we will be achieving from now to COP30. So we have 2 years to showcase what we can deliver as a group, and also to promote other initiatives in this stream of action related to the CHAMP initiative or other initiatives like the Surge initiative that was launched during COP27 in Egypt. And to make sure that there is more and more noise and momentum around financing at the subnational level, and that we systematize the tools, the mechanisms, the relationship between the players. So we are now connecting with a set of partners, and probably after the launch, because the launch is only a political launch, then we will, in the 6 months after the launch at COP, we will work with the countries, the alliance that are supporting the initiative to make the relation with the development finance institutions, the UN agencies, etc., that really want to support the initiative and integrate in the basket of solutions, the basket of funds, of programs that they are proposing, and that the UFI team will gather and list and make sure that there is a connection with the ministries and the national associations of mayors and governors and the SDBs to make sure that we progress in partnering, in collaborating. So this is an accelerator that fits well with the proposition coming from the COP presidency and Bloomberg Philanthropies, to have this support to these national accelerators. So this is our initiative. It was designed before there was this conversation with the presidency and Bloomberg, but it fits very well. So we're very happy to make sure that we connect the dots, and we can answer questions maybe afterwards.
Great, thank you. I think we've explained, we've explained now the different temps forts, the different events and initiatives that relate to the subnational level of action and subnational financing. So we would like to hear from you now. And we have prepared some questions in Mentimeter. So it's an interactive tool. So normally in the chat, you should have access to the link. You can click on it or scan the QR code that appears now on your screen. And the question will appear in English, and I will read it in French as well. So the question is, do you already know the names and position of the persons from your organization who will attend COP28? If you can add this information in the poll. Donc, la question qui vous est posée, vous pouvez cliquer sur le lien qui est apparu maintenant dans le chat.
She is reading the question in English, actually. Exactly. In French, excuse me.
Et connaissez-vous déjà le nom et la fonction des personnes de votre organisation qui participeront à la COP28? Si vous pouvez nous informer de nous donner cette information, ça nous permettra ensuite
So
de...
she's asking the French speakers also to do exactly the same thing, to answer to this question and get in contact with them in order to organize the activities during the different sessions that were mentioned, but also and in parallel with these official activities where we will have bilateral meetings. So for those, it seems that there is a question in the chat for those who don't have representatives and still they would like to participate. How to do so? It was Mr. Diop. You can ask your question. You can use your microphone if you want. Well, thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you very much for allowing me to ask this question, because there are certain points actually that are noted from the beginning, because I didn't have the occasion to take the floor at the beginning. So now I will do so. I want to congratulate you. I come from Senegal, and I am working in agroecology development and also the capacity building for local populations on climate action, water management, and agriculture. And the first question is, so are there sub-national development banks in Senegal? we don't have a lot of information, and if these institutions exist, can you give us information on how to get in contact with them? Are there any intermediaries that we need to get in contact with, and what are the different conditions in order to allow the local authorities to get in touch with these local institutions, and what are the different guarantees also that are put in place in order to launch projects? And I have a question about the participation of the different organizations to the COP in order to carry out advocacy work. So in Senegal, the rural communities that the rural communities now, they have become municipalities. So we don't have now a difference between municipalities and rural communities. So now they all are municipalities. So there are rural municipalities nowadays who are very close to very large cities like Dakar, for example, or others. So do these municipalities, are these municipalities integrated in the process in order to help structurally these municipalities are very close to cities to in order to include them in the debate? Because these rural municipalities and communities also should be included in this general debate. Thank you so much for your question. And this meeting wants to prepare for COP28, and then we will have a bilateral call, because most of the participants know the functioning of the alliance and the role of the different participants. About your question about the financial intermediaries in Senegal and local banks, of course, we have invited Mr. Diallo, who is the Secretary General of ADF in Senegal. So in the chat, you have the contact. So we will have a bilateral call to answer to your question. We're going to send you a message right after this call. Normally, you should have been able to access the links through Mentimeter. So if this is not the case, please use the chat to answer to the question if there are any people in your organizations who are going to participate in the COP in order to organize bilateral meetings with them. So there are certain issues that you can participate with online. We are going to send you all the information in the newsletter that will be sending to you a week before the COP, with the information about all the different sessions that have to do with the financing. So I don't know if the team can give me the results of the first question, so we can move on to the next question, maybe. Noémie Fantin. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question, and I will allow you to use the chat to answer, because we have a Mentimeter technical problem, it seems. Oh, thank you. I have a response through the chat. Madam Sana says that she will be representing FEC at COP28. Thank you so much for your response. Are there any other people who are going to participate in COP? Please don't hesitate to put your name. Can we put on the next question, please? Next question. Okay, so yes, so the question is to know if you are going to be the first week, so you can take the microphone and talk about your program. So we have the representative of FEC that is saying that she's going to be present. Can you tell us exactly which days are you going to be there, and what are the commitments that you have within the FEC activities inside the COP? And then we'll give the floor to the other people who will use hopefully the chat and tell us that they will be participating in the COP. Madam Sana, could you maybe tell us which are the dates that you're going to be there present? I don't know if you can hear me. I give you the floor. I don't know if it is a Zoom problem or a microphone problem. We cannot hear you. Can you hear me now? Yes, yes, we can hear you perfectly. Okay, I don't know why my camera is not working, but anyway, yes, I am a director of studies of cooperation and communication in FAC. I only represent FAC, and I will only be there for the first week. Perfect. And you are going to be accompanied by a team of people. Do you have any program for your activities during this first week? Well, for the time being, we're going to see different institutions, different agencies, international financial institutions, and we're going to see them. We're going to organize B2B meetings, and also within the alliance, we are open to participate also in the summit, the first and the second day. So, of course, we can take the floor on talking about our contribution to sustainable development and territorial development. Okay, take note of that. Okay, so go back directly to you, and of course, if you have the contact names and numbers of all the delegation, we'll be very happy to have them. So you're going to be present on the 6th. Yes, the 6th included. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to send you the activity program in the next weeks to come. Thank you so much. And I see that Lanfict from Niger, Anfict from Niger, who will be present. So I'm going to give the floor to Mr. or Mrs. Calamo. Can you give the name of the institution? Please rename yourselves. Okay. Good morning. This is Mr. Kalamu. Moussa Sabi from the National Agency for the Financing of Local Authorities in Niger. So yes, we want to participate. Also, and so there is Mr. Adam Mosibingi, Mr. Ibrahim Atama, and myself who are going to participate, and we will represent the regional authorities in Niger, also some representatives of the different municipalities. So we are going to travel on the 28th, hopefully, and 28th of November, and we will be staying until the very end, until the 11th of December. Okay, brilliant. So you're going to spend 2 full weeks there. I don't know if it's the time to talk about our interests, or maybe we should wait. Well, for this COP or in general, for this COP28, yes. Just briefly, what are you thinking about saying? So to us, and we are the national agency of the financing of the local authorities. I believe that the best added value is to mobilize new resources to help our local authorities because the state does not have enough resources in order to finance all the projects that have to do with the different local authorities. So the most important added value that we can have in Niger is to be able to mobilize more resources beyond the national government. So that's why we started also to the accreditation for the municipalities who are working for the climate. We lost the gentleman.
D'avoir une réunion d'échange avec
if this can be done, we basically are working about the different possibilities to really develop. And also the processes need a lot of time, for example. So the processes are very long. This meeting can allow us to create a direct contact and to see if there are any facilities to accelerate these processes that will allow us to mobilize resources and to help our local governments who are facing many threats. In the north of our country, we have many oases that are disappearing. So many are disappearing now due to the desertification. So we have different programs to mobilize financing. So for us, an added value would be to be able to mobilize, to help the state to mobilize more resources. And this mobilization can only be done through the coordination with the financial institutions. But in order to do so, we need to make sure that the procedures and the processes are improved and don't need so much time. But I believe that this would be the most important, interesting thing for us. Okay, thank you so much. Brilliant for the delegation of Niger. There will be bilateral meetings on the climatic funding. And the accreditation process that you talked about, we took a very good note of it. So for the rest also, please update us on your programs, on your projects. We already had bilateral meetings with some of you, but we didn't have time to meet all of you. We might not have time to meet all of you before the COP. So if you have any main projects that you would like to share with the stakeholders and partners, so please don't hesitate to send them to us so we can share them with the alliance members and to try to put you in contact with the good people. And also we have many people who confirmed their presence. So we will have the representation of Gabon, I believe she said. Good morning, CDC from Gabon. So we are represented at COP28 and we already have established the program. So once we will receive all the information, we'll see how we can integrate everything. Of course, we will be very happy to participate in the different side events that you're going to organize. Thank you very much. I believe that you are represented by Mr. Mistoul, Gérard Aimé. We're going to organize a bilateral call in order to understand what are your priorities in order to organize the meetings and in order to organize your participation in the different sessions. And as for the FICOM delegation, do you have any announcements? Or do you have any thing that you might like to highlight for now? Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. I want to thank you, Melissa, and I want to confirm the participation of FECOM to the COP28. We will have a delegation of three or four people under Mr. Philippe Kamiakwa, who will represent the Cameroon delegation also to this summit, and I think that we need to see how we can help the territorial banks because as what the colleague from Niger said in FECOM, we have launched an accreditation process also with Dakar. So we need to have a process to help these banks in their accreditation process. Okay, it's okay for the accreditation process. We took note of it. There are many of you who share the same priorities. I hope that I gave everyone the floor. You NDP, we just took note that your delegation is still to get confirmed. ADL, maybe I didn't give you the floor. ADL, Mr. Diallo, are you still there? Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Yes, yes, we can hear you perfectly. So I followed with huge attention the exchanges here in Senegal. There will be a lot of participants in this summit, representatives from local authorities, a lot of mayors also, and we will have also very high representation, and also we are seeing in ADL the possibility to send a representation, maybe the Director General or me, Secretary General, or Mr. Kandi, because we are with UNCDF working on a local project on these issues of financing local authorities for the adaptation to climate change. We're going to start actually, so in the pilot phase, we were a little bit behind time, but we're going to start now in the cooperation with the Ministry of Environment. And so due to the interest that Senegal gives to all these issues, we have decided to work also in cooperation with two ministries, the Ministry of Local Authorities that we represent through ADL, and the DEC, which is the Ministry of the Environment. So we have created a steering committee between these two ministries also. So we're just waiting for the ministerial decision to do this, and this shows the interest that Senegal gives to this issue. Not only this issue, because we're open also to working with our partners, because the main objective is to find all types of financing resources for the local governments and how we can help them. As you know, in Senegal, the last reform that we carried out that dealt with decentralization was a reform in order to give more capacities to the local authorities to carry out their projects. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, did you hear me? Yes. I don't want to be long here. I am saying that we are following us on these issues in Senegal with huge interest. So not only in Senegal, but also with our neighboring countries like Gabon, who are working with us also in cooperation. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Diallo. So if I understand well, you are a part of the official delegation with the Minister of the Environment? No. Well, we are an autonomous agency, basically. So ADL shall participate with its own budget, and we're going to see how we're going to organize this. And we are going to see if we can have the highest level of representation through the general director. Thank you. We're going to see. But we wish to have the director general participating. Thank you. Carlos, maybe I'll give you the floor to talk about the delegations and the organization of your participation. There's a gentleman who were asking for the floor. Go ahead, and then I can take the floor. Mr. Matar from the Federation. The sound is abominable. We cannot understand. So I want to just confirm our participation in COP28. And as we heard, Senegal is going to send a delegation. And we're going to get organized in order to see how we are going to participate. So we're going to talk with the local municipalities, and we're talking about the participation at COP. And we're going to see what are the different issues that we're going to tackle. Well, maybe just to give you a summary, it's very important for us to know who is present and representing the subnational development banks and the members of the alliance who would like to really join the alliance, because it will be the occasion for us to organize bilateral meetings depending on the needs that you have. So that's why we're asking you for the dates you're going to be there, and to know if you're going to participate with the national delegation in order to have access to the blue zone, where we will be organizing these meetings. And once we have an idea about the list of the participants within the alliance, we're going to organize also maybe a meeting for all the people present, depending on the agendas of all the delegations. It will be done in the morning, very early in the morning or late in the afternoon, in order for you to meet each other, because you are interested in different initiatives, for example, the Rwandan initiatives, etc. So you can organize the meetings in order for you to put you in contact with other banks or financial institutions who will be there, but also development partners, multilateral banks, UN agencies are working on support programs for the territories, and also the municipalities network at a national level, or depending on the different themes, for example, in the territories. And we're going to send you the French version and the English version of the PowerPoint. And at the end, you will have our contact details, so you can contact us. So once you have all the information about the delegation, please don't hesitate to give us all the information in order for us to organize these meetings. What's important to us, as Melissa said in the introduction, is to really take advantage of the COP in order to really give visibility to the work of the sub-national development banks. Also, we're going to organize maybe a roundtable during the summit for the local action on climate on the 1st or 2nd December or the 6th of December during the ministerial roundtable on urban issues and climate issues, in order to show the very important role that you have in funding and helping the municipalities. And as the debate on the role of the development banks, we can work with the adaptation fund and the green climate fund also. So of course, these procedures are transparency procedures that are based on international standards. So that's why they need so much time, because you really need to follow the different criteria in the GCF criteria in order to really ensure the transparency. And of course, the process is very long and very lengthy. So that's why we need to talk with the different partners who are already accredited in order to see how we can move forward. And I believe that this is very important for the sub-national development banks. We actually have started working on this, and we will go back to this, and it will be the occasion to create maybe a specific working group. And we talked about this during the last webinar in August on this, and we'll go back to this. But anyway, this will be the occasion during the official meetings, the roundtables, summit for climate action, or the ministerial roundtable to take the floor, but also in the different pavilions. Also, you have to know that most of your countries are going to have national pavilions where they will have also a whole programming for different events. And it will be interesting and important also to propose to organize sessions in your national pavilions also, and we will try to organize with other partner pavilions also sessions, and to propose your names also. So that's why we need to know who are the members of the alliance delegations who will be there in order to communicate them to our partners, and depending on their interest, being this the regional interest, or maybe if they're interested by the types of initiatives that you have launched, so we can propose your names to put you in contact with them. So once you know exactly what are the dates you're going to be there, the names of the people who will participate in the delegations, to give us this information in order for us to propose your names, because we need to propose them names and dates to give you the floor if you want. And I believe that next week we will send you the PowerPoint presentations in order for you to have a base point, and then we'll send you a list of events. And even if you cannot participate actively in these meetings because the setting is already organized, but at least these meetings can be interesting for you. So you can either be in the room and meet people who would be interested in working with you. So that's why we are trying to have a whole list of these events. And as Melissa said, we will be also organizing meetings where you will all be participating. Of course, maybe you cannot take the floor in each and every one of them, but there will be representatives of the sub-national development banks from Latin America, from Africa, or both, because you know that the COP sessions, the official COP sessions have been reduced in time, but still we're going to really push in order to allow you to contribute. So we commit to this. But before this, it is extremely important to have all the information about your timetable and your names. So before continuing, so as Melissa said, this COP meeting is an exceptional one. it gives more visibility on the climate action. COP30 in Brazil also is going to be a very strong moment because Brazil is very much committed now to organize the best COP ever. So it is very important here in Dubai and also in Brazil to make sure that through the alliance and also through the different conversations that you're going to have with the people present in COP in order to make sure to underline your needs and also the possibilities of cooperation at all different levels. So that's why you need to come to COP with a whole list of your needs, a list of projects, of proposals for the partners in order to make it very clear that the pipeline of the projects linked to the local authorities, especially in the sixth, which is the multi-level session on transport, on water, on sanitation. It is very important also for you to have an idea about the projects that could be interesting to promote in these meetings, but also if you have any needs for any specific collaboration or technical assistant, on which type of technical assistant you need also, and beyond the discussions that you already have with cooperation agencies and multilateral banks or the UN agencies with whom you work, maybe if you could just put a list of all these needs and send us this document for the future, so we will know exactly how to help you with the partners that you're going to meet. And this is extremely important in order to allow you to move forward. And we will try, of course, later on to organize these meetings with all these institutions who will be present at COP, but please don't hesitate to contact us to ask us more for more information, or maybe have more details, or maybe send us projects that you might have. We'll be extremely happy to integrate them and to think with you about who would be the best partners to put you in contact with. I don't know, Melissa, if we can open the floor to the other partners. We have UNDP, I believe, and others. So maybe they should talk about what they're going to do on the infranational dimension. I don't know. No, this was not done.
We can open the floor to partners, including UNDP, to also hear from you, to hear about your plans at COP28 and some of the sessions you will organize or take part in related to subnational action and access to finance. I know that we had some exchanges in the chat, but please feel free to also intervene and take the floor orally for everyone to hear. I don't see any hand raised. I see that DFLA Malawi is also connected. I don't know if they are planning to also attend COP. No. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We were indeed trying to prepare to attend the COP, but as of now, I haven't received an approval yet from the board and from the ministry. So I wouldn't confirm as of today.
Thank you. Just one point. If you need to have some support from outside, meaning from FMDV, to explain how it is important to have you in the delegation, you can also organize a call with the ministry if you need. We can explain better why it's important, etc. It can be also a support to your own advocacy internally, but don't hesitate. to
right.
ask us.
On that one, I think then I'm going to email Melissa, and then I will express everything on that. Then we can take it from there. But as of today, there hasn't been any response. Maybe they need the backup, but I'm sure that we planned to attend and we could attend. I'm just afraid to confirm just right now. But I'll email Melissa. Thank you very much, Carlos.
Perfect. We'll wait for your email. I see also that Roberta sent an email saying that DBSA will be attending. Do you already know, Roberta, who from DBSA will attend, and if you already have some ideas on your program? We are of course very keen to connect with DBSA. I know that Carlos also had bilateral meetings with your team in Cartagena at the Finance in Common. So we would like to continue the discussion and also, of course, highlight your great work in the climate finance space. Yes, anyone from DBSA, if you want to take the floor and share your plans, it would be great.
Don't be shy. The delegation will be shared by via email. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Roberta. Anyway,
Okay.
just to let you know, Islamic Development Bank also. That's nice. Maybe Habib, just keep in mind that it would be really relevant to make sure that we have a conversation on ISDB's role on supporting subnational finance through the SDBs. So it would be nice to have a new conversation, especially considering what will be announced with the CHAMP initiative at COP. And how ISDB could be one of the champions to support the CHAMP implementation with the different countries, I think, and through the SDBs. So let's have a chat about that. And just maybe to conclude, Melissa, anyway, we will send you an update email, probably mid-November, once we have a more comprehensive agenda for inviting you to join, propose speakers or whatever, to give you some clarity on what can be done, and on the organization of internal meeting between the members of the alliance. So don't hesitate to let us know, send us an email or WhatsApp to get more information. If you need to have support from us in front of before the ministries, your ministries, your line ministries, don't hesitate. We will definitely organize anyway conversations with some of them due to the UFI initiative, the follow-up of the discussions we had in Nairobi in June and September. So don't hesitate again. We can integrate a push to get you in the delegation if needed. So that's it on my side. Maybe we can, if there are no other questions, we can go very quickly to the second part of the meeting agenda. Maybe, Melissa, what do you think?
Sure. I just want to make sure that there is no remaining question, either in the chat or orally. I don't see any hand raised. Okay. So very briefly, if you can change the slides. We wanted to, maybe I'll switch to French because I spoke English the whole time, but just to give you the intro in English. We wanted to use this opportunity to show you the results of the work we've been doing for a number of months now with the team, and that will be launched at COP28. We've been with Noémie Fantin, who are also working behind the scenes, mapping the tools, funds, mechanisms provided by multilateral development banks to fund and finance urban resilient, to fund and finance resilient urban development and transition. And this piece of work will be very useful for you as SDBs to understand the panorama of opportunities coming from multilateral development banks that already exist and that you could potentially tap into. Donc, si je passe en français pour aussi permettre aux francophones de comprendre.
So I move on to French in order to allow the francophones also to listen to me. So for those who need interpretation, you can listen to it in English. So can I have the next slide, please? Brilliant. I wanted to go back to this work. In which framework are we doing it? It's in the framework of the Coalition on Resilient Cities and Region, which is also an initiative of global financing and common financing that was launched last year in Abidjan during the meeting. Excuse me, do you have a question? No? Oops. Okay, so that wanted to create this space of dialogue between the public development banks at all levels on financing cities and regions, resilient cities and regions. It is an initiative that connects very well with the alliances of the subnational Latin American and African development banks because we are having regular connections between the different priorities, the different needs, and all the issues that were expressed by cities and territories during our exchanges. So we connect them through the coalition of resilient cities and regions who with the banks who have a mandate that is not only regional but goes beyond, and that have an access to your issues and priorities in this space. And usually before the international events or during the global summits. So there was a meeting organized by the coalition during the common financing meeting. So in the framework of this coalition, which is one of the 10 thematic coalitions of common financing, we produce a certain number of deliverables of research in order to improve the visibility of the actions that you carry out as development banks or SDBs on the financing of resilient cities and regions. And we try to create relationships between the banks at all levels. So if we can move to the next slide, I'm going to show you this mapping of different tools and funds, and now it is really focused on the multilateral development banks and not the national ones. Those banks who are financed by a whole series of states, and it proposes a comparative analysis of the different tools, funds, and mechanisms given by the different level development banks, starting with the multilateral development banks, but also we try to assess the different strategies and the different mandates of these development banks, being this the World Bank or any other development banks who have different mandates. So we compare them, we analyze them in order to understand what are your priorities. And also we carried out a comparative analysis of the different support that the development banks can give, financial help or other type of support. And we have created these comparative and complementary analysis. And all this information will reinforce the database of common financing. We launched this work 2 years ago. We have a database that gives information about all the different activities of the development banks. And we also, what's very important in this publication is to identify collaboration opportunities. As you know, the Finance in Common movement wants to develop and encourage these collaborations between the different level development banks. And thanks to this mapping, we are going to identify collaboration opportunities on financing resilient cities and regions, presenting the different tools and the complementarity between different tools and different programs or types of support that are put in place by the multilateral development banks. So can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so here you only have the different institutions that we chose for this study. So we tried to have an equitable geographical representation per region, around 3 per region, and some like World Bank and then other IFIs with a global mandate. These are banks that were very active in the framework of common financing activities and also within the coalition of resilient cities and regions who from the beginning showed their interest in participating in the activities and be informed. And here we talk about the questions that were asked. So we try to explore the urban mandate, the operational support provided to cities and regions in terms of capacity planning, urban planning, and the type of financial support and the types of tools that are proposed by the different banks to the different stakeholders, being this directly with the cities or the regions and through the financial intermediaries like you. Here we have a compendium of good practices and the collaborations that we have seen in the past. In terms of the preliminary results, we have observed many things. The first, that we have a growing number of programs and projects that are directed to the resilient cities and regions. So we have many programs by multilateral development banks for these projects. Here we still don't have a lot of time in order to assess the actual opportunities that we have presently. And also we study the conditions of implementation of the urban strategies. So we have asked information about the available budgets and the number of people who work within the different urban departments in the development banks and the real capacities to implement the different proposed activities. And as for the tools, we saw that there is a growing number of preparation of project preparation facilities that are managed within the multilateral development banks. And we saw also that there's an increased share of subnational loans granted by PDBs over time and the use of innovative instruments, even if the situation can vary from one bank to another. And also that the question of the innovation of these tools is still under debate at an international level. And all these different issues are not perfectly clear, but we have some preliminary conclusions that we have reached. And the very last point has to do with the cooperation between the different development banks. And we have found a whole series of examples of co-financing that are quite interesting to analyze. And this is why we wanted to hear you today from the SDBs and the different institutions who work with the local municipalities. So do you have any good practices, examples of collaboration between multi-development banks and subnational development banks or other type of financial intermediaries that help to unlock finance for resilient cities and regions? So we have a certain, our research actually with the different regions allowed us to really pinpoint some examples of good practices. But I don't know if you worked on any of these projects who would like to have the possibility to really have a call with you in the next weeks in order to see the work that you have carried out and to use it as an example of a good practice in this field of collaboration between banks that is coherent with the reform of the world financial architecture that for more than a year is pushing towards a better collaboration between the banks in order to have a much more efficient financing in order to really reach the climatic Paris Accord objectives and the sustainable development goals. So you can use the chat or take the floor. I don't know if you have contributed yourselves or if you know of any good examples of collaboration. I don't know if Carlos also wants to add any information. No. Well, just a very fast comment on this dynamics. So why are we launching this process? Because there have been many publications, mapping publications of this type of the multilateral development bank processes to help the intermediaries and the SDBs, but we don't have a space where we can just put together all this information. So this is a first try to do so. And also because the different strategies of the different banks evolve very rapidly due to the arrival in this galaxy of the multilateral banks and the initiative of common finance, FICS, putting together all these public banks who are putting in place these strategies and exchanging information about the implementation of these different procedures and sharing the information. So it is in this spirit that we're doing so. And as you said, we are very interested in the NDBs because in the time that we had to prepare the information to prepare the COP, we started with the multilateral development banks, but we're going to start now right after the COP to work at a national level, and also the subnational development banks have launched initiatives and we will study all these different points that you have listed. And also I want to say that this is a way to give visibility to the importance when a multilateral development bank wants to finance cities and regions or urban development in general. It's very important to give visibility in the different countries the action of the SDBs as absolutely essential partners. So all the advocacy, all the communication that we have carried out with FECOM, with Cameroon, also as a state that supported the launch of the World Forum of the subnational development banks and also when the Secretary General of the United Nations, also during the Summit on Climate, we have launched this visibility dynamics that created this regional level. So what we try to do through this mapping to identify the different mechanisms that we can have between one partnership and another, between the multilateral development banks and the SDBs also. So the goal is to give visibility to experiences that you have on certain issues, project preparation, technical assistance, internal processes, norms, standards, or the creation in your territories and alliance. Well, basically, we have infinite types of partnerships and collaborations that we can have, and the objective is to give them a lot more visibilities in order to duplicate them. And I want to finish saying that in the conversation that we had with the multilateral banks and the development partners that we have and also the United Nations agencies also, what we want to do is to offer a certain pragmatic type of in our discussions, and also in order to accelerate the access to finance for the SDBs. As you have said, when you're talking about COP28, the idea is that to give proposals for innovation, and an important point is to make sure that we can propose the creation of a technical assistance fund, a support fund that will be directed to capacity building of the subnational development banks. This could be one way. Another way would be to have a common tender on a certain theme, for example, throughout the year, in order to allow some SDBs to propose also innovations in the tools, in the financial products they propose to their clients, which are the local authorities. But we can also talk about theme issues. For example, an issue that is becoming more and more important in the debates is these are the funds of adaptation, access funds for the adaptation. So it is very important to continue talking and analyzing these different levels of development banks to propose actions that are collective and that benefit all of us in order to move forward in the access towards a diversity of funds and opportunities for the subnational development banks. And this mapping basically is going to feed the common financing database, and it will allow to create more discussion spaces in order to promote this type of cooperation, hoping that we'll be able to implement them very fastly to serve the different local authorities and municipalities. And now I give the floor to any participants who wish to contribute to the debate. But even if you have any questions, also
I don't see any hand raised or any comments. Do you have any comment on the mapping that has been presented just now?
Et peut-être juste, alors pour préciser, c'est vrai que ça vous donne beaucoup d'informations en une seule réunion.
of course, to be honest, this is too much information in just one meeting, but also you can take advantage of the PowerPoints and documents that will send you to get in touch with us in order to organize these bilateral calls, as Melissa said, in order to really organize our collaboration on different points, in order to really adapt your programs also. So don't worry, there will be many other occasions to talk about this, but we wanted to organize this strategic meeting on COP28 in order to remind you or to re-inform you on this mapping initiative that we have launched. Melissa, maybe, and just in case someone wants to participate, I want to give a precision. This action is linked to the global financing reform. So FMDV and other institutions are trying to have more visibility on the sub-national financing issues, which is a very important issue that we have to take into account. And also what's important is that now in November, the dialogue platform between the different stakeholders of the sub-national financing system is going to organize with the support of C40. They're going to issue a report on how, in the framework of the reform of the multilateral development banks, how the subnational financing issue can be included. So it's a first proposal to make sure that the promise of the multilateral banks or the bilateral cooperation banks on the integration of climate funding in their procedures should also allow a possibility to tackle the urban development issues that are strategic for all the nations in the future, because you know that the design of the future infrastructures is being done at the level of the municipalities in the framework of decentralization. But also we need to rethink innovation, which means that today in our debates, we need to think about the financing the resilient and sustainable urban development. What does it mean on the type of the financing that these local authorities need in order to put in place the Paris objectives, the sustainable development objectives, etc. In terms of resilience also, what does it mean for the territories also to use the different financing tools in order to move forward in these subjects? And this is the objectives of our alliance, to be able to talk between all the different development banks about what it means also for them as stakeholders who are very important in this financing chain.
À la conclusion,
I think that we reached the conclusion. I don't know if anyone wants to take the floor. If not, I will conclude saying that for COP28, don't hesitate to recontact me to have more information, to give us information about your delegations, the names of the people who are going to participate. This is very important, your dates also, and we'll get back to you, because many times it's very complicated during COP to have a common agenda, because it's general hysteria usual. So maybe we are going to propose 1 or 2 moments where we can meet, maybe very early in the morning or late in the evening. It's much easier. So we're going to try to propose this after mid-November in order to give you, a visibility on how to build in your agenda, your participation agenda in COP28. And also, if you have any good collaboration, good practices also with development banks, if you have any needs, if you have any pipeline of projects that you have also, or if you have any projects that you would like to really have in collaboration with multilateral development banks or other development stakeholders. So don't hesitate to talk to us about all these different issues, and we're going to see, depending on what you propose, with whom we can put you in contact. In the COP, absolutely everyone is there. It's an enormous market for opportunities, and we need to really take advantage of the fact that we're being there in order to organize meetings, but we need to know that time ahead in order to organize them. So don't hesitate to contact us. The Secretariat is at your disposal, and we will be present during the whole length of the COP, and we're going to send you our contact information once we are there. So maybe you are going to use a WhatsApp, and we have actually our website also. So we're going to get organized, and we're going to coordinate with your delegations with the ministries of urban development or the of local affairs and with the ministers of climate, of environment also, in order for them to be very much aware, because this year we are going to be focusing on the subnational part, and we need to show them that you are key actors. So at a national level, they have a subnational bank that can have a voice. So they need to integrate you in the debates that they will have, and you can count on us to help you. And finally, we're going to send you this list of events to which we are going to invite you to participate, and we'll try to send you a list as soon as we receive from all our partners all the different information. It will be towards the end of November that we have this information, but we'll try as soon as we can to forward them to you. But please don't hesitate if you have any information about the events that you're going to organize in your pavilion or in the multilateral pavilions also. So if you have any partnerships, please send them to us. I don't know, Melissa, did I forget anything? I believe that everything was said, but we will go back to all of you in order to organize the bilateral meetings as we said before. Thank you so much for sending us your email addresses. So don't hesitate to use the chat. You have our email addresses. Because COP is arriving very soon, so don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much. Thank you, and hope to see you soon.
Bonne journée.
Bye-bye, and have a good afternoon.
Au revoir, Madame Balafrège. À très bientôt.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye bye. See.
Thank you.
Et merci beaucoup aux interprètes. Merci, au revoir. Et merci beaucoup aux interprètes. Désolé pour le vocabulaire parfois peut-être un peu compliqué et technique. J'espère que vous avez pu suivre sur la base des PowerPoint. Merci beaucoup en tout cas.
Survécu. On a bien survécu. Merci à vous.